Title: The Journey of Jonathan. The Call of Chaos. Jonathan was in the middle of a meeting when his phone vibrated on his desk. It was an unexpected call from his son Junior's nursery school. "Hello, sir. Junior's mother has not arrived to pick him up," the voice on the other end said. Before he could make sense of it, another call came through from his security guard. "Oga, you must come home quick. Something bad is happening." Panic gripped Jonathan's heart. He excused himself hurriedly, grabbed his keys, and raced to the school. He picked up Junior and drove towards his house, his mind racing with a million questions. As he approached, he saw a crowd gathered at his gate. Fear knotted his stomach. He pushed through the crowd and found his neighbors clustered around, trying to cover something. Then he saw her, his wife, lying on the ground, motionless. His friend Sam's voice broke through the commotion, sorry, my brother." At that moment, Jonathan felt a rage so deep he wanted to destroy everything around him. But then, everything started to blur, the world moved in slow motion. He realized he needed to call his father to understand what had happened, to break the curse that seemed to hang over him. The promise of the land. After the tragedy, Jonathan's father spoke to him with a voice full of gravity. "My son, you must return to the land of your ancestors," his father insisted. "Promise me you will come back to the land and restore balance." Jonathan agreed, desperate to escape the haunting memories. Soon after, he accepted a job transfer to South Africa, hoping the change of scenery would help him heal. For a year, he lived in Johannesburg, slowly finding solace in the company of a kind woman named Andel. Life seemed to settle into a rhythm when Jonathan felt his wounds begin to heal. But then another call shattered his fragile peace. His wife had been in a car accident and was critically injured. They needed him urgently. Jonathan flew back home immediately, but by the time he arrived, it was too late. His wife had died, along with his best friend, who had been with her. To make matters worse, Jonathan discovered that his beloved son, Junior, was not his child. A wave of fury and betrayal overwhelmed him. He decided to sell everything he owned in the city and move to his father's village, seeking refuge and a fresh start. A return to roots. Back in the village, Jonathan's father welcomed him with open arms. "My son, you must connect with the land, the plants, and the spirituality that binds us to our ancestors," his father advised. Though he was initially skeptical, Jonathan decided to embrace the wisdom of his elders. He started a small business trading in medicinal plants, traveling between the village and the cities. Over time, he became known for his knowledge and the healing properties of his plants. The business flourished, allowing him to renovate the family house and invest in the community. Within a few years, Jonathan transformed the village with his wealth and generosity, earning the title of the Millionaire Farmer. For the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace and purpose. A sister's surprise. 5 years later, Jonathan's sister, Amara, arrived from the United States with her best friend, Elena. They were both amazed at the transformation that had taken place. The village was no longer the small, rundown settlement they remembered. The family house had been rebuilt, and the farm was thriving with new crops and livestock. People were whispering in admiration, calling Jonathan the Millionaire Farmer. In America, Amara had met Elena, a wonderful woman who had become her closest friend. Elena had recently fallen gravely ill, and despite trying every medical treatment available, her condition had not improved. One day, she confided in Amara about her desperation. "I've heard so much about your father and his work with plants. Perhaps there's something in Africa that could help me," Elena suggested. Amara, who had always shared stories of her homeland, decided to bring her friend to Africa, hoping to find the cure they were searching for. The African Revelation. Arriving in Africa was a revelation for Elena. She had heard so many stories about how Africans lived in trees or in extreme poverty. But what she saw surprised her: beautiful houses, vibrant communities, and a wealth of natural resources. "They told us lies about Africa," Elena whispered to Amara, her eyes wide with awe. "I told you so," Amara replied with a smile. "And my brother has done so much in just a few years." When they finally met Jonathan, Elena felt a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. Jonathan greeted them with open arms and listened intently to Elena's story. "If there is something I can do to help, I will," he promised. And so, the journey of healing and discovery began. The journey of healing. Jonathan took Elena to the heart of the village, where the elders and herbalists practiced their ancient craft. They listened to her story, observed her symptoms, and began preparing a special remedy made from rare plants only found in their region. As they worked, they spoke of the connection between the land, the spirit, and the body, emphasizing how nature itself could heal. Elena stayed in the village, immersing herself in its customs and traditions. As days turned into weeks, she began to feel lighter, stronger, and more at peace. The villagers welcomed her like family, and Jonathan's warmth and compassion brought her comfort. For the first time, she felt truly alive. The bond grows stronger. As Elena recovered, she and Jonathan grew closer. They would take long walks through the fields, discussing life, spirituality, and the challenges they had faced. Jonathan shared his pain, his journey back to his roots, and how the land had helped him heal. Elena found herself drawn to his resilience and strength. Meanwhile, Jonathan's business continued to flourish. He had established connections in cities across Africa, exporting his plants and medicines. He used his wealth to improve the village further, building schools, clinics, and clean water facilities. The people respected him not just for his wealth but for his commitment to their shared prosperity. Confronting the past. One day, while in the fields, Jonathan received a letter from a lawyer in the city. It was a final settlement notice from his late wife's family, detailing matters concerning her estate and a revelation about Junior's true parentage. Jonathan felt a familiar rage simmering inside him, but this time, he didn't let it consume him. He knew he had to face the past to fully heal. He called his father and shared the news. His father advised him to perform a cleansing ritual, to release the pain and forgive those who had wronged him. Jonathan agreed, understanding that it was time to let go of the anger and find peace in his new life. A new beginning. With his father's guidance, Jonathan underwent a spiritual cleansing, reconnecting with his ancestors and finding inner peace. He felt the burden lift from his shoulders, and for the first time, he saw a future filled with hope and possibility. He realized that his journey had brought him to where he needed to be. Elena's health continued to improve, and she decided to stay in Africa. She felt at home in the village and had grown to love the people and their way of life. Her friendship with Jonathan blossomed into something deeper, something they both felt was destiny. The millionaire farmer. 5 years had passed since Jonathan returned to his roots, and he had built more than just wealth. He had rebuilt a community, restored hope, and healed not just himself but also those around him. His sister, Amara, decided to stay, helping him with his expanding ventures, while Elena chose to make Africa her new home. The village thrived under Jonathan's leadership, and he became known far and wide as the millionaire farmer. But to him, his greatest achievement was finding peace and purpose, reconnecting with his roots, and helping others do the same. As he stood on his farm, overlooking the land that had given him so much, he knew he had fulfilled his father's wish and found his way back to the land, to his true self. End.